Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Fuller, and as Chair of the Board, I welcome you to this December 4th, 2024 regular meeting of the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners. Our Communications Manager, Tiffy Oliphant, will describe how our meetings operate, how to access the agenda packet, and how people may participate remotely. Tiffany.
Thanks, Chair Fuller. There are multiple ways to make public comment during today's meeting, whether you are joining us in person or virtually. If you are here in person and would like to make public comment, please fill out the sign-in sheet now. If you are joining us virtually, we will ask you to raise your hand at the appropriate time in the agenda. If you are joining us virtually and are experiencing technical issues with the audio or video during the meeting, submit a comment in the chat feature and I will help you troubleshoot. If you would like closed captioning during this meeting, you will have to manually change your settings. Click on the options button and select show captions. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded and a link to the recording will be posted to wcroads.org in the next few days. There are printed copies of today's meeting agenda on the table near the front door. It is also posted on our website. And now I'll turn it over to Chair Fuller.
Thank you, Tiffany. I now call this December 4th, 2024 regular meeting to order and ask Tiffany to call the roll.
Chair Fuller,
Present.
Vice Chair Rod Green,
Present.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas is absent. Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Present.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs.
Present.
The following directors are in attendance. Managing Director Matt McDonald, Director of Engineering, County Highway Engineer Brent Schlack, Director of Operations Adam Lape, Director of Finance Dan Ackerman.
Please join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So move. Support.
Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Seeing none, Tiffany, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the agenda is approved as presented. The first item we're going to deal with is the election of officers and appointments for 2025 and 26. The motions all appear on page 4 of the packet. May I have a motion to elect the board chair and vice chair for the 2-year term of 2025 and 26?
Madam Chair, I move that the board hereby elects Commissioner Barb Fuller to serve as chair and Commissioner Rod Green to serve as vice chair of the board for the calendar year 2025 and 2026.
I support.
Thank you. Tiffany, if you'd please call the roll.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. The board chair and vice chair are approved for the next 2 years. May I have a motion to appoint the Washtenaw County Road Commissioners voting member to the Washtenaw County Parks and Recreation Commission for the 2-year term of 2025 and 26?
Madam Chair, I move that the board hereby appoints Commissioner Joanne McCullum to serve as the Washtenaw County Road Commission representative on the Washtenaw County Parks and Recreation Commission for the calendar years 2025 and 2026.
Support.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Tiffany, if you would please.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. Our representative to Parks and Recreation Commission is approved. Next, may I have a motion to appoint the Washtenaw County Road Commission representatives, plural, to the Washtenaw Area Transportation Study, otherwise known as WATS, to their policy committee for the 2-year term of 2025 and 26?
The board hereby appoints Managing Director Matthew McDonald as the voting member to serve as the WCRC representative on the policy committee of the Washtenaw Area Transportation Study, WATS, and Commissioner Barbara Fuller as the alternate for the calendar years of 2025 and 2026.
I support.
Any discussion? Tiffany, if you would, please.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. Our representatives to Watts have been approved for 2025 and 26. The next item on our agenda is our annual public hearing for the budget. I declare the public hearing on the 2025 Washtenaw County Road Commission's annual budget is now open. At this time, public comments are limited to the proposed 2025 budget. Please be aware that we will receive public comments on all other issues during the regular public comment period a bit later in the meeting. Our communications manager, Tiffany Oliphant, will describe the public hearing, how it operates, how to access the draft 2025 budget, and how people may participate remotely. Tiffany.
Thank you, Chair Fuller. The public hearing on the 2025 Washtenaw County Road Commission's annual budget is now open. Please remember, public comments made at this time should only be about the budget. We will have the regular public comment period for general comments later in the agenda. Since this is a hybrid meeting with both in-person and virtual attendees, we will take turns between those attending in person and virtually. For virtual attendees, we have provided some instructions on the screen on how to participate and make public comment. If you're attending this meeting virtually and would like to make public comment, please raise your hand now. If you dialed into the meeting from your phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. I will unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time and will announce your username or your last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak. Please share your name and your address before beginning your comments.
Thank you. I would turn over to our Director of Finance, Mr. Ackerman.
Just a point of clarification, I think there needs to be a voice vote to go to open the public hearing.
Yeah, all right. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing on the 2025 annual budget.
Support.
Support.
Tiffany, if you would, please.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Now the public hearing is officially open. Mr. Ackerman, our Director of Finance.
I guess first we need to see if there's anyone from the public that wishes to make any comments with regards to our 2025 budget.
There's nothing introductory you would like to state before we move?
I guess the only introductory that I would have is we had a working session for both our year-end 2024 budget, which the public hearing is just for 2025.
Right.
And as we stated to the board previously, if there are any significant changes, we would communicate that with the board, and wanted to mention that there are not. If anything, we've shared that the numbers through the end of October were preliminary, and we had not closed the books at that time. We have since closed the books, but there were no material changes with that. And again, no significant changes were made with our budget documents from what we shared with you at the working session. And some of my other comments I'd like to reserve for our action items for approval of the budget, if that's okay.
Certainly.
Okay.
Certainly. Thank you.
Yep.
So at this time, Tiffany, are there any people who wish to comment or question about the budget?
No, Madam Chair.
All right. Commissioners, anything you wish to ask our folks about this? No? All right, well,
Sorry.
go ahead.
If the managing director would like to make any comments on the budget as well.
No, I didn't have any at this time. We discussed it at length during the working session. Certainly with our questions, we're open to any and all.
And certainly we will continue to monitor it. Like I said, I'm going to reserve some of my comments for the action items. And I believe then when the public hearing is over, we need to do the same thing as far as roll call vote to close the public hearing. Yeah.
Right.
That's all my comments, unless there's any questions that the commissioners have.
I don't see any.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
work. This is a huge document.
Yes.
I hope the public has an opportunity to peruse it and watch going forward into the next year, how we do on
That's right.
accomplishing all the projects that are laid out there. They're significant in number and scope. And good luck with the tracking of all of that,
Yes.
Dan.
We certainly have an ambitious year ahead of us.
Yes.
Although this year was also quite ambitious. And looking forward to continuing to communicate with the board. Certainly, we will have quarterly reviews at a minimum and go over any changes. We'll see what winter does to us. Sometimes projects that get delayed or moved ahead. So, but we'll be sure to communicate all that with the board at our quarterly meetings.
Perfect. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
So if there's no further comments and still no questions, Tiffany?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay. Then I would accept a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Support.
If you would call the roll, please, Tiffany.
Yes. Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the public hearing is closed. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, we have 2 sets of minutes to accept. May I have a motion to accept the board meeting minutes of November 19th, 2024, appearing on pages 5 through 11 of the packet?
So move.
Second.
Additions, deletions, or corrections? Seeing none. Tiffany, if you would, please.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the November 19th minutes of the regular board meeting are accepted as presented. Next, may I have a motion to accept the working session minutes of November 19th, 2024 as presented on pages 12 through 14 of the packet?
So move.
Second.
Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Seeing none. Tiffany, if you would, please.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the working session minutes of November 19th are accepted as presented. Next on the agenda, we have an opportunity to hear from our county commissioner liaisons. I see that County Commissioner Caroline Sanders of District 4 is with us, and so is County Commissioner Crystal Light of District 2. Taken in seniority order, maybe Caroline, what's on your mind?
Good afternoon. Would just like to first raise up our prayers and condolences on the loss of our county treasurer, Catherine McCleary, and to just support her family. Also would like to share with you that this evening is going to be the holiday party from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And then 7 p.m. we will start our general board meeting. On that agenda will be a resolution to approve the quadrennial budget for the county 2025 to 2028. There are also a number of other resolutions and recognitions for Sheriff Clayton. I don't want to name them all, but Sheriff Clayton, Kathy Wyatt, Catherine McCleary, and some other staff who will be retiring or leaving the county. It's going to be somewhat of a packed agenda. So if people are interested in joining us for the Christmas party, but maybe not so excited about staying for the meeting, we'll welcome you either way. I think that's it for me. I don't know if Commissioner Light has anything to add. Thank you. And happy holidays to you as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanders. Commissioner Light.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to wish everyone a happy holiday. And I look forward to seeing what our new year will bring us as that comes about. And just as Commissioner Sanders said, please send your prayers and great thoughts to our treasurer's family, Catherine McCleary's family, so that we can hold them up and support them as best as we can. But other than that, I look forward to seeing those that can make it this evening. And if not, as I said, have a wonderful end of the year.
Sheriff
Thank you,
Fuller, if I
Commissioner.
could just add
Certainly.
something right quick.
Sure.
Just a point of pride that recently the Ann Arbor City Council voted down the expansion of the Ann Arbor Airport. That has been a fight going on for about 17 years. And so it was successfully voted down at their meeting on Monday. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Light, anything else you'd like to share?
Sorry, she muted herself.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay,
Commissioner
all
Sanders
right.
took care of it all.
Thank you both for being with us this afternoon. Next item on our agenda is public comment. This is the time set aside on the agenda to receive comments from the public. This is not intended to be a period for dialogue. Each person will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board, and Tiffany will explain how people may be recognized to offer comments.
Since this is a hybrid meeting with both in-person and virtual attendees, we will take turns between those attending in person and virtually. For virtual attendees, we have provided some instructions on the screen on how to participate and make public comment. If you're attending this meeting virtually and would like to make public comment, please raise your hand now. If you dialed into the meeting from your phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. I will unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time and will announce your username or last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak. Please share your name and address before beginning your comments. For in-person attendees, we will start with those who have signed up on the sign-in sheet as you walked in. At this time, Chair Fuller, I do not have public comment.
All right, we will move on. Written communications. Written communications appear in the packet on pages 15 through 21. Commissioners, anything you wish to draw our attention to or comment about? Commissioner McCollum.
Yes, Madam Chair. I wanted to comment on page 17. It is a special thanks for drainage work on Londonderry Drive in Saline from Peter and Sharon. It is lovely. The pictures, how they put that together is so lovely. And I do so appreciate their thanks to the Road Commission. Also on page 18, there is another thank you note from Aaron McCarthy. And I appreciate the thank you note from Aaron. And I'm glad Aaron is happy with the work done on Morrison Road in Dexter Scioto Township. And one last thing is on page 19. It is from Washtenaw County Road Commission, the 2024 Safe Streets and Roads for All Grant Program for $72,000. And this involves the Rawsonville Road, which is not far from me. And I'm happy to see this. And I think it would be worthwhile if we could have our managing director just give us a little background on this particular grant.
Certainly. Mr. McNamara.
Thank you. I'm gonna ask Brent to come on up because this was a grant that our engineering staff put together. We're very excited about this grant and was successful at getting $72,000 to look at planning. So won't steal any of Brent's thunder. Go right ahead, Brent.
All right, thanks, Matt. Brent Schlack, Director of Engineering. Tiffany, I don't know if you saw my message, if you could pull up the map for Rawsonville Road. I don't know if you
I
can
can.
do that.
1 second.
Just to give a little background, so this is Safe Streets for All grant. It's a planning and demonstration grant. It's for $90,000, $72,000 of that is federal funds. So it's an 80-20, so it's a matching grant. So it's along Rawsonville Road, from Martz Road to the Huron River Bridge, which is just north of Textile. I think it's like 0.4, 0.38. Yep, I know. I'm trying to, Tiffany's getting there. So this segment of road, we'll wait just a minute because
I'm coming.
there she's getting there.
I'm coming.
In all fairness, did you give her a heads up?
I
that you're
did
gonna-
not. I gave her a heads up literally like 10 seconds ago. So yes, if you zoom out just a little bit, you'll see, so that's Martz Road. And so it goes to the north of that, Tiffany. So it's from Martz Road, going north, keep zooming out. Yeah, and then if you scroll, scroll north, you'll see the Huron River, which, connects to Belleville Lake and, so just north of Textile. So it's the segment, if you turn off the aerial, it might be a little easier to see. There you go. So you can see the blue that signifies the Huron River that leads into Belleville Lake and Ford Lake to the north. So it's, our jurisdiction is from just south of that bridge. And the grant carries through Martz Road or just to Martz Road. So again, it's a $90,000 grant. It's an 80-20 match, 80% federal funds, $72,000. The remaining is, would be our responsibility, which has been included with our 2025 budget.
Thank you.
This segment of March Road has over 14,000 vehicles per day. And it's listed as a high-risk segment on SEMCOG's high injury network map. And it's also within an equity area. Part of this grant will be a road safety audit. So part of that road safety audit will look at safety measures along this segment because it was recognized as a high injury segment. They'll be, of course, looking at that. They'll also be looking at an equity analysis, preliminary environmental analysis, and public engagement. So with all of that information that's gathered, they'll then put together conceptual plans for what this segment of Rawsonville should look like. And then once that is done, it'll help us prepare for the next grant application, which leads into the implementation grant. So this is all part of that IIJA federal bill that allows for these types of projects. So the first step is the planning and demonstration, and then with that information, we'll then work into the implementation based on what our findings are here. So that's, input from all these analysis and then input from the stakeholders. So that's this first segment.
If I could just add, obviously a very busy section of road where we've experienced some crash history. Certainly we're going to look at things like, given that volume, would a center left turn lane be appropriate? Obviously widened shoulders would definitely help with the safety. We're looking at potentially adding non-motorized. All those things will start to add up and it'll be a very costly and complex job. And then we'll have to go after funding for construction, the implementation grant. So all that is this to say, this is the first step. And we recognize Rawsonville Road, there's a lot of needs. Even the pavement condition isn't that great out there as well. So there's a lot of benefits to going through this process. And like we said, it's the first step and hopefully of several to ultimately see a fix. That would be a great benefit to the community.
So a question about the timeline here, Brent, is the planning grant for calendar year 25? And then?
It is. So our goal is to work through this road safety audit and all these analysis within 25. And then in the fall of 25, our hope is to reapply for the implementation.
Okay, so if the application is in the fall of 25, when would?
So then it would be
The awards.
awarded, it would be awarded prior to 26 or.
Oh, that
around
quickly?
Yeah, the funding may not be within fiscal year 26. It may be like a window of time, like 26 through 29.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's the kind of the rough timeline that we're looking at.
And that's a good thing because there are several complexities. There's county drains, there's inter-county drains.
Yeah.
It will take a lot to get a project of this magnitude potentially get permitted and ready for construction. So favorable timelines, but great first step and congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, working through this process, it was kind of a juggling act on figuring out how to ultimately get awarded the implementation grant. And so you have to follow these steps through this grant program to get to that point. And so this is the first step. And thankfully we were awarded. It does show that there's interest even on moving this forward. So what we've seen is from other agencies, those that have been awarded the planning and demonstration, when they get time for the implementation, it's like almost an automatic award. So not, that there's a guarantee there, but it definitely sets us up for that.
And these are federal dollars that we'll be relying on
Yes,
receiving.
yes,
Correct.
yep, correct.
I am so pleased.
Well, we'll see.
Yep,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Very
thank you
Okay,
for that
thank you.
background.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Brian.
Green, just a minute. Brett.
Yes.
Will it also consider any, non-motorized pathways or no?
It would. So our initial look at it, again, would be, like Matt said, of course, widened shoulders. We do have some deep ditches along these segments, and possibly a center left turn lane, and then, of course, non-motorized. There is a park that's associated with at the Huron River there, just south of the bridge on the east side. And so there potentially could be some non-motorized path to get to that area. And one thing to note as I was just thinking about, so I know it got brought up, letters of support. So we did get a letter of support from SEMCOG
Okay.
and from Wayne County.
Good.
This is a borderline road, right? Do I remember?
It is a borderline road, yes.
And there are a lot of businesses along there.
Mhm.
That's why it's so much traffic, and that would help so much with, redoing the road and also putting sidewalks in there.
Yep.
Because it's dangerous to walk along there.
And I will just say, even though it's a borderline road, because the way that we distribute each mile segment, we are 100% responsible for the improvements on this segment. So that
Yes.
they aren't going to be a financial partner, but we'll certainly need to work with them on permitting anything that would be for their roads on the east side of the road.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Years ago, we worked on a similar project or an improvement project at Bemis and Ross.
Bemis and Rossville, yes.
They're a good partner there.
Yep.
So,
Other questions for Brent?
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
There was no public comment, so we will move on with the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 9? The motions are on pages 22 through 25. The background is on pages 28 through 41.
So moved.
Second.
Any items there that commissioners have questions about or want to draw our attention to? Seeing none, Tiffany, if you would please call the roll.
Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
The consent agenda items are approved as presented. We have 5 action items today. May I have a motion to approve action item number 1, to accept the 2024 year-end annual budget report and to approve the related 2024 year-end amendments. The motion appears on page 26, background on pages 42 through 79.
Madam Chair, I move that upon the recommendation of the Director of Finance and the concurrence of the Managing Director, the Board hereby approves the 2024 annual budget year-end amendment as presented.
Support.
Discussion. Mr. Ackerman.
So as we discussed at the public hearing, the numbers are not significantly different. We've not made any significant changes to what was discussed at our November working session. Certainly, as we shared, we feel this is a somewhat conservative budget, meaning you slightly underestimate revenues, slightly overestimate expenditures. Certainly, we don't know what will happen with winter.
Right.
So there are some wild cards out there. We don't know, there's X amount of equipment we're expecting to receive in the next month. And obviously, if we don't receive it, then that means we have to carry over those funds to next year for the budget. Same thing with projects. Up until a week or two ago, the weather was fairly, was working in our favor as far as getting some projects done, but obviously it's getting colder now. So there are a lot of wild cards, but I'm positive that the actual numbers will come in a little better than we presented to you. I did want to share a bit of concern with the Michigan Transportation Funds, which we'll be discussing in my report. They don't seem to be trending where I would like them. But even if that were to be slightly below our budget number, I still think with our other line items and conservative nature, that would not put us in a bad way. But I did want to point out that it's concerning, and I know CRA has shared with us that it seems to be getting the attention of the legislature. And I know that there's some bills that are being thrown out there that potentially looking for more funding. Again, the main thing that we have to go off of is the estimates from the State's Management and Budget Division, and they have not updated the Michigan Transportation Fund estimates since last February. So at least hopefully by this next February, we can see if they've changed. I'm kind of surprised they haven't lowered their expectations or lowered their estimates, because certainly the trends are there, are showing they're not matching their estimates. They're not close. And obviously we are going with our trends over the estimates. Sometimes though there's delays in those documents being provided, but we need to go with what we're actually seeing. But again, I just wanted to state the Michigan Transportation Funds, and we'll talk about it a little bit during my presentation. But that being said, even if there was an issue with that, I'm still confident that our actual numbers will come in better than what we presented to you.
Any questions for Dan? I'd just like to thank you for continuing to monitor this so closely, and know that we rely and trust on you to advise us so that we stay on the right side of that line
Right,
and
exactly.
have priorities in place, and we do our quarterly review and adjustments. So we'll watch that closely in the new year. All right. Anything else for Dan on this one? Ms. Tiffany, if you would, please.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. Action item number 1 is approved as presented. Next, may I have a motion to approve action item number 2, to approve the 2025 annual budget report and the final 2025 preliminary budget. The motion appears on page 26. The background is on pages 80 through 112.
Madam Chair, I move that upon the recommendation of the Director of Finance and the concurrence of the Managing Director, the board hereby approves the 2025 annual budget as presented. It is understood that the proposed 2025 budget supports 136 full-time equivalent positions.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Dan at this point? Anything you'd like to share with us, Dan?
Just a couple of brief comments.
Sure.
First of all, per Public Act, I don't remember the Public Act, but we technically can't open our doors January 1 if the board does not approve a 2025 budget, which is interesting. You hear things about the federal government and running deficits and all that anyway. So obviously it's very important that something is approved for the next year prior to January 1, because we want to make sure we can continue to, fight snowstorms and do all the great work that we do. So I just wanted to share that with the board, that, something has to be approved for the budget for next year. Once again, we feel our numbers are somewhat conservative. We've got a huge workload next year. We have significant equipment purchases. Again, we want to be able to pay our employees a competitive rate to attract and retain the best and brightest. So there's all these things that go into the budget, and certainly those change. The moment something's approved, the numbers will change, and that's why we do quarterly reviews. Again, not knowing the actual numbers for 2024, assuming there's a favorable outcome there, hopefully we can revise some of our numbers for 2025. Staff does have a list of projects that we would maybe like to do. We'd have equipment that we would possibly like to purchase, but again, we also want to make sure we present and have a healthy fund balance. because obviously things come up. If winter is more severe, we want to make sure we have the fund balance to be able to continue to address that. We've had other emergencies that have arisen in the past. We want to make sure that we can respond to that as well. So, it's definitely a delicate balance. And again, so what else do I want to say? I guess that's all for now. But appreciate the support of the board in our working session in November. There was a lot of great questions from all of you. And just because the budget is approved doesn't mean, I want you to continue to feel you can ask questions. Certainly we will share with the board, especially when things change, any significant changes. And as a leadership team, it truly is a team effort. And I think the budget is always on everybody's mind, which is great. You want people always thinking about the consequences of actions or inactions and the impact on the budget. We will continue to talk about it as a leadership team, more frequently than quarterly even, just as things change, just to make sure we're all on the same page and continue our good communication. And that's really all I have, unless there's any questions for me.
I just point out that we scheduled this activity in our first December meeting in case weather had other ideas. We would still have one more meeting in December
Yes.
to take care of this and be able to approve a budget in
Right.
time for the year end. So that's why we do it this meeting, not the next one. And everything's pretty volatile at this point, I would say, given the outcome of the November 5th elections.
Yes.
So I appreciate you being attentive to whatever changes we might realize going forward. All right, I think,
I
Matt,
could just,
sorry, I
no,
didn't
that's
see
quite
your
all
hand.
right. I just want to thank Dan for leading us through this effort. I know it's been a lot of heavy lifting, and especially last month as we were preparing for the working session.
Mhm.
We had a great dialogue at the working session, so I just want to thank the board as well for the great questions and engagement on this important document. We are anxious to close the year out, and as said previously, it's very good that we sit down first quarter, see how winter did, see how our year end, and then we can reevaluate. Budgets are a snapshot in time, but trust that staff is looking at it on a daily basis. So.
And the transparency that you make possible is incredible, Dan. The number of addendums and descriptions and
I'd have it
it's
no other
just really
way.
helpful.
Yeah.
I think our public is well served by the work that you do. Thank you. All right. Tiffany?
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes,
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. The 2025 annual budget is approved. We can open our doors on
That's right,
January
that's
1st.
good.
Dan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. May I have a motion to approve action item number 3 to approve the 2025 board meeting schedule?
Chair. The board hereby adopts the 2025 board meeting schedule attached hereto and made a part of these minutes, which shall take place in the first and third Tuesday of each month at 1 p.m.
Support.
Did anyone see any dates that we need to revisit before we adopt this, knowing that we can change things going forward? And just for anyone who's listening, look at page 113 and 114 of the packet to see the board meeting schedule. It's also always available on our website. All right, Tiffany, if you would, please.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
yes,
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the 2025 regular board meeting schedule is adopted. May I have a motion to approve action item number 4 to approve the 2025 working session schedule? The motion is on page 26 and the actual calendar appears on page 115, 116.
Madam Chair, I move that the board hereby approves the 2025 working session schedule attached here too and made a part of these minutes and shall be held at 9 a.m. on the third Tuesday of each month unless otherwise noted.
Support.
Any items you want to draw our attention to that we might have questions about? You'll notice some of them are to be announced, and we'll be working going forward. If there are topics that come up of interest to the commissioners or to staff, we'll make those changes and slip in the subject matter. Tiffany, if you would, please.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, our working session schedule for next year is approved as presented. Last action item, may I have a motion to approve action item number 5, to approve the right-of-way acquisition in conjunction with the 6 Mile Road at Curry Road overhead beacon. The motion appears on page 27. The background is on pages 117 through 122.
Madam Chair, I move that upon the recommendation of the Director of Engineering, County Highway Engineer, and concurrence of the Managing Director, the board hereby approves the acquisition of a 200 square foot public road easement, more particularly described in Exhibit A, located upon a parcel of property commonly known as 9011 6 Mile Road, Salem Township, Michigan, with a corresponding tax identification number of A-01-11-300-008 from the property owners Bill and Janice Moy in the amount of $1,500.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Managing Director, anything you want to share with us on this topic?
Fairly straightforward, looking to add a flashing beacon at this intersection, where two of our primary roads come together. Oftentimes, we'll put those flashing beacons to denote the intersection, particularly in our more rural areas where there isn't a whole lot of light. It brings attention at night, so that is an important safety feature. So if there's anything to add, Brent? Okay.
And just to clarify, this is a beacon, this is not a signal, right? What color is this one? Is this yellow?
Brent Schlack, Director of Engineering. So this one, I don't know it would be a yellow and red overhead flashing beacon.
Yeah.
And I don't know the exact, so one direction. So we set these up where the major movement is the through movement, and that would be a yellow indication. And the minor movement, which would be the side street, would have a red.
A stop sign is.
Correct,
right?
the stop sign with an overhead
Yep.
red. So also associated with these intersections, we typically put the cross street does not stop, because there are times when people see the overhead flashing beacon and they feel that it's a multi-way stop intersection or four-way stop. And so we typically put those cross street does not stop, so that those that are on the minor street know that all the other leg is a through movement.
And this is all predicated on those traffic control orders, which oftentimes you'll see on the board action items.
Yeah.
Consent agenda, I should say, where it's designating which roadway is stopping and which roadway is the through. So.
Yep.
Ties it all together.
Yeah. And those we call TCOs, right? When we see this whole
Correct.
string of TCOs, those are traffic control.
Traffic control orders, correct. Yes.
Perfect. Anything else?
Just curious.
Commissioner Green?
This was the result of a counter offer, correct?
Correct.
Any idea what the original offer was? I'm just curious.
Original offer, I believe, was $300. I think it's in the packet.
Yeah, on page 118 of the packet,
Yeah.
you'll see the good faith offer letter. And then ultimately the property owner will oftentimes counter, they'll line out and mark up and then sign the counter, the good faith offer with their amendments. So we're recommending, we agree to that counter offer. For it's an administration settlement essentially.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you.
And we make our offer based on an evaluation.
Yeah, we're looking at the, what the property is worth around in the area and making that determination. Keep in mind, a lot of agencies typically don't offer less than $1,000. But in this case, based on the square footage, that was the value that we determined. And so we've had a practice of just doing the value based on our analysis of what the actual square footage is, and not setting a bottom limit, I guess. So in this case, we felt comfortable moving forward. $1,500.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Tiffany, if you would, please.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, action item number 5 is approved for the right-of-way acquisition. We will move on now to the report of the road commissioners, starting with Commissioner Smurs.
I completed my cybersecurity training, my annual training, and that completes my report.
All right, thank you for taking care of that. Commissioner McCollum.
On December 13th, from 1 to 4 p.m. For the Washtenaw County Parks and Rec meeting is on the December 13th instead of December 10th. It was moved to December 13th. And if you need to go to the website of Washtenaw County Parks and Rec, you'll find the information of how to get onto that meeting and where it's going to be held publicly. On December 4th, I attended the chat with the Road Commission and we had 2 attendees. And I also have completed my cyber training also. That ends my report. Thank you.
Question, are Parks and Rec meetings streamed? Are those
Yes.
like ours? Do they do that now?
I believe so. We are online that they can
Okay,
go in and we have the owl and everything.
the owl.
Well, you know, it takes a picture of everyone on them.
Oh, okay, okay. Wasn't familiar with the bird.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry, Chris, if you're listening. I didn't know that one. Commissioner Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the 3rd of December, I also completed my cybersecurity training. And that concludes my report.
Great. So all of the commissioners have completed the cybersecurity training as required. I will report that on November 20th, I attended the meeting of the Washtenaw Area Transportation Study, also known as WATS. And on November 22nd, I attended the meeting of the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, also known as SEMCOG, which was convened at Washtenaw Community College, very conveniently. And that concludes my report. Staff reports are next. They appear on pages 123 through 135, and I'll turn this over to Matt.
Thank you, Chair Fuller. I did want to note, I was contacted by Coy Vaughn, our Washtenaw County
friend.
Parks, Washtenaw County Parks. He's a director. And oftentimes their last meeting of the year that they're recognizing employees. They also recognize partners, and they are going to honor us in our partnership with County Parks. So if any of you would like to attend, along with Commissioner McCollum, I will be there as well to receive that recognition. So,
Very nice.
yeah, very nice. Obviously, we've done a lot of good work with them on projects and also the passage of the roads and non-motorized millage this year. So exciting, and oftentimes we don't look back and celebrate. So that I thought that was very nice of them to recognize us. So, with that, I didn't have anything else. We'll go to our director's reports. Bring back up Brent Schlack, very popular guy today.
All right, good afternoon again, Brent Schlack, Director of Engineering. So to start off, I'd just like to congratulate Norwood Bush, Woody Bush, for his retirement. I know it was in today's packet. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it to the meeting today. He's planning on retiring next week after 25 years of service. Throughout my whole time here, I've worked with Woody, and I just want to congratulate him on his retirement. That was definitely well-deserved.
I'll echo that as well. He is a valuable resource. Anything related to signals, he is a dedicated individual, and he has been a big reason why our signal network is where it is today.
Yes, yes.
A lot of
I feel that.
changes in 25 years with that whole network.
Absolutely.
There
And he
has been.
rolls with them.
Yeah, and he has rolled with them. He's embraced it and moved forward, and he values that system. And it shows in his everyday work. So I really am happy for him and wish him well in his retirement.
And we'll certainly present him with the resolution.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
I knew he wasn't going to be here today, so I soft pedaled that. Okay.
Yep, no.
Please continue.
Yes, so as far as active construction, of course, we're winding down, but we do have a couple projects out there. One is Huron Road and Brinker. That's the traffic signal, part of the all-day road improvement agreement along Huron, just south of 94. That signal equipment has been installed. The mast arms have been installed, the signal heads have been installed, and as of today, the signal will be operational as far as in flash. So it'll flash yellow for Huron, red for Brinker. And we do that so that motorists start to look up and start to get familiar with that signal at the intersection. And so we do that for a week, and then we'll make it fully operation with green, yellow, red next week. So that's, again, that contractor's been working real hard, and that's in time prior to that Aldi opening up. So we're thankful that project's where it's at.
And that was a partnership with Ypsilanti
It
Township.
was, yes.
So that was an agreement between Ypsilanti Township and the Road Commission. And then obviously the township worked with Aldi on all the details of that as well. So a
Yep.
great example of a partnership and then also coordinating with our permitted development as well.
Where is that in relationship to the post office?
Just north of the post office.
Okay.
Yep. So they, with that, it's right near the Washtenaw County Sheriff's office, which is on the east side of Huron. So actually, they aligned, there was a roadway that went in a development on the east side with the Children's Healing Center, I believe, and the Washtenaw County Sheriff tied in with that. So they'll also have a signal now coming out of their driveway.
So there's one at Eagle Crest, right?
Correct,
And then
James
first-
L. Hart, yep, Huron and
So
James
then
L.
we
Hart
keep going, and the next one then is
at Brinker,
Brinker, and then
And
there's
then-
another one.
Huron River Drive,
Okay.
Whitaker.
And Woody's got that all figured out so that
He
it
does.
works.
He does, yeah.
Okay.
Parting gift.
Yeah, he does.
Thank you, Woody.
Yes. Also, part of our HMA paving for our local roads in Pittsfield Township, Arbor Creek. The concrete work was remaining for that. We had paved all the roadways in there. We typically don't like to do the concrete last, but in this case, we have made that concession. And so they're actually in there today doing removals with plans to put back the sidewalk ramps next week for those. We're hoping the weather temperature goes up like it's intended to allow us to pour that concrete next week. Permanent projects, Platte Road, there was a widening. It's part of a development called Getty's Vista. Don't get caught up in the Getty's portion of it, it's the name. And that's right just south of Morgan Road and Platte and
Oh.
Morgan. They, part of that development, they had to put in a center left turn lane. So they widened that. With that, they had done the widening, unfortunately with availability of material this time of year, they had to put in some temporary pavement to get it up to the proper elevation. They will come next year and remove that and put the material that we require for the job. But that project is now wrapped up and painted. But as far as other permitted work, they're just working in closeouts.
And the developer paid for those improvements.
Correct, through a road improvement agreement. Again, yeah, the developer paid for that widening.
Okay.
With that, well, we're just diligent in closing out projects. We're finalizing our 2025 projects. And we're working with communications on our community engagement. So those you start to see those coming out here in the new year. And aside from that, I would encourage those to look at our website we're hoping to get our 2025 with our budget. You kind of got a preview of our 25 projects map. So we'll be getting that up on the website, working with Tiffany and with Alan Squire to then create those pages that we need. And then where that meets our community engagement policy, we'll start having those public information meetings. So aside from that, that's my report unless there's any questions.
Questions for Brent? I don't see any.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brent. Next up, Dan. A popular topic, finance. But
Welcome back, Dan.
Dan Ackerman, Director of Finance. I apologize. I probably should have stated that each time before the public hearing and so on, but I did not. So anyway, I will do it now. I mean, you know who I am, but people that are attending the meeting may not. So I would also like to acknowledge Norwood Bush in his retirement. Wish he were here so we could properly acknowledge him. Certainly he's been great to work with all these years and very diligent employee. He just, if you give him a task, he does it well. And I told him he kind of represents like old school. I consider myself old school road commission. And so there's less and less of us now, but anyway, just wish him, nothing but happiness and a great retirement. So just wanted to share that. Also appreciate the board support with our budget. We definitely throw a lot of numbers at you. And like I said, I appreciate the great questions. I know you guys are looking at it closely and, ask good questions and it only strengthens the budget with that back and forth. And, it's our goal to make sure the board has a good understanding and a good comfort level with it. And again, as Matt stated, the numbers will change after this meeting even. So, but that's why we continue to monitor it and, very important document and we'll continue to communicate it going forward. So I'd like to talk Michigan Transportation Funds for a moment. If you look at the last page of your packet, a bit of a surprise. So we always compare month by month, the current year to the previous year. And in October of 2024, compared to October of 2023, it was down 5%, which initially I was a little surprised to see. But sometimes there's more to the story. So I looked at October of 2023 compared to October 2022. October of 2023 was up 18% from 2022. So certainly there were some adjustments there. So that made me calm down a little bit, I guess. And, again, I'm not crazy about the trend. I have contemplated talking to Matt, maybe making a last change reduction to our Michigan Transportation Funds, but I think we're going to be close. The marijuana tax is in December, and certainly that's usually, or at least the last couple of years, it's been a huge increase. I anticipate that will also be a huge increase. I don't know for sure. I have nothing necessarily to support that, but that's part of the reason why I'm okay with things. But we'll see. And it's concerning to me what the future holds with Michigan Transportation Funds. There's some great graphics as far as annual consumption, and that seems to have flatlined or maybe going down with more electric vehicles and fuel efficiencies, which are all great, but then, that impacts our main revenue source. So, I think Lansing has a lot of tough decisions potentially to make. And I know CRA is monitoring it and sharing with us. Like I said, there's some bills out there to potentially get more funding to our agencies from the Michigan Transportation Funds or other budget adjustments. They can do a lot of things in Lansing. And then look forward to any updates from the state as far as revised estimates, which I'm anticipating they will be making. But if you look at this graph in front of you or this chart, so it's basically, in my opinion, flat from last year. which again, costs aren't flat, of course, costs of, doing business are not flat, cost of, health insurance, fuel, whatever, take your pick. So, and we always go over this with our new hires. From 1997 to 2017, there was no gas tax increase, which caused a flat line or even a decrease with some of the economic recessions. So I think there's a lot of challenges there for Lansing, for road commissions. And, we always monitor it, but even more so, and we'll hopefully look forward to Lansing finding some wisdom to get us some much more needed funds. So I don't know if there's any questions on that, or if there's any concerns about it as far as, the budget, but I think we will be fine, even if we are a little bit lower than what we budgeted for that. Because of our conservative budget. So any comments on that at all?
No, there's some pretty dramatic proposals
There
being
are.
made for this lame duck session.
Yes.
And the federal grant that was being relied upon to fund the pilot project for the mileage-based user fee didn't come through. So the legislature needs to step up and
Right.
plug that hole
Yes.
as well.
Mhm.
So I appreciate you watching this closely,
Yes.
and would, in conjunction with the managing director, appreciate a recommendation for CRA with respect to more frequent and accurate projections from MDOT
Yes.
to make it part of our legislative priorities.
Okay. If there's nothing on that,
What else?
just a couple other things. We're hot and heavy into our year end. We get a flurry of invoices going out to our townships for township billings for our ARPA culverts. Thought we were done with the ARPA culverts and invoices, and then there are some more. So definitely keeping us on our toes, getting ready for all the year-end tax work, ordering forms for that. And just to make sure that we have everything going. We're cutting off new purchases next week in order to minimize the amount of purchases that are made at the end of the year, and then bills coming in. When your auditors are on site at the end of January or early February, you need everything in and paid for and so on as quickly as possible. And this is something staff has been used to for a number of years. And staff has really been great to work with on that, just planning ahead. When we first implemented this many, many moons ago, I received a question, well, what if there's a part for our truck that we need, and in the truck, we can't use the truck until we get this part? Is finance going to say, well, it just needs to sit there until January 1 and until, we can start ordering, purchasing again? And we say, no, absolutely not. Obviously we're here to provide a service. So we do have a plan for that. Either Matt McDonnell or Adam Lake can approve emergency purchases, because obviously we don't want a truck to sit just because of what finance is asking for. So we always try to have provisions, and it's just to try to minimize that. When our auditors were on site, and they were in like April, it didn't matter as much. When things were received and paid for, you had several months to compile all this information and get ready for the audit. But now, and we've shared in the past, we're one of the first to be audited in the entire state. So we need cooperation from staff in order to make this happen. So that's been great, and we'll continue to move forward, but we're hopping in finance. Lastly, just want to acknowledge Catherine McClary. I'm not sure if I can get all this out, but she's meant a lot to me and the road commission. Tiffany shared a great article about her in the news, Detroit News.
Yep.
Some of you may not know this, but in 1974, she was a county commissioner, Washington County Commissioner. And they think she was the youngest commissioner ever. And I'm assuming in our area. She's been treasurer, and she was a commissioner for 14 years, county commissioner. She took over as treasurer. She was elected, I should say, in 1997. So think about that. She's held an elected position from 1997 to 2024, almost 30 years. That's just unbelievable. And it's elected position, so you could have anybody could be the treasurer. And On occasion, you see articles about treasurers. There's a treasurer that was caught with county funds at a casino. When asked why, they said they were trying to double their money. But anyway, so you could really have, you could have anyone in that position. And the fact she came from money and banking, you know, is just very impressive to me. And a lot of the controls that we've shared with you that we have to be overly protective of the road commission's funds is from her and her office. Sometimes it does make it challenging to try to conduct business, but I would rather have controls in place and, you know, all the safeguards that she has. She's been a leader in the state of Michigan and maybe the country as far as treasurers. She's got to be one of the longest serving, I imagine. And, you know, in her position, she has to deal with a lot of potential foreclosures. She's created a lot of programs to allow people to stay in their homes. So anyway, she
She had a big heart.
means a lot to me, and I feel like she did things for the right reasons. So anyway.
Great. Thank you for those
my
thoughts.
report.
Thank you for sharing. Dan. Absolutely.
Any questions for Mr. Ackerman? Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Also, in the board packet is the HR report and IT report. If you had any questions, I'd be happy to answer any. But those were included in the board packet as well. Go ahead, come on up, Adam. Operations report.
Good afternoon, Adam Lake, Director of Operations. While I plug in here, kind of echo especially what Dan said. You know, I've learned a lot from Dan, and I think he's learned a lot from our treasurer. So it was kind of heavy to hear that. So, and I'm a whole different, you know, just being 10 years, starting 11th year, you know, a whole different side of it. But it's been impressive to watch her work. So definitely thoughts with that. And then a little bit different side of life, a little happier is to echo what we've been talking about with Woody. Woody, obviously not being our department in operations, but was instrumental in a lot of things I did with the union when I first got here. He was a steward. Him and Mike Dabeck, who is a temporary employee for us right now that retired from that department as well. Both were union stewards, really helped me a lot, try to learn our union style here, coming from a different unionized environment. So Woody's been instrumental. So it's happy for him. You know, I don't want to see him go, but also life is good. You know, the fruits of the labor that we always talk about, and he'll get to exercise. So I am going to plug in. So I think I'm in. I'll have to bear with me while I move maybe my screen here. Maybe. Sorry about that. There we go. Yeah. So what we're going to do is get a little shameless plug for our weekly update that Matt sends out. But I wanted to touch base on a few of the recent trainings that we did. So we've talked quite a bit about our snow and ice training that we were excited about. Now, obviously, knowing the weekend that we had, we were able to exercise that a little bit here recently. So scroll down through here. Excuse me. We'll scroll past actually some Scioto Township work, some excavation there that you can see. I'll go slowly so you can kind of see that. That's on West Delhi Road. A lot of you probably have seen this, but
Those culvert replacements were the reason Dan's got to do some more invoicing.
Yeah, we're keeping Dan busy.
So we
So
took advantage of the good
Yeah.
weather.
So I figured, you know, good poke to Dan to say thanks friend to help us get that done. But as you can see, it was a little warmer at that time. So we were capturing as much as we could for 2024, as we've been talking about. So here is one of the pictures from kind of our out in the garage session that we talked with the crews. Here we're kind of speaking about the wing plows and just general use of the unit. Just really a lot of things we talked about in the 0 to 3 years group, just general concepts. So we see pretty big groups. So what we did, we split ourselves into 3. I think we had 20, final numbers like 25, 26 employees. So we kind of split into 3 groups. We had state trunk line foreman, heavy equipment foreman, both superintendents, and then myself kind of bouncing around to the groups talking at different times, just so everybody heard kind of the same thing, but also you didn't have to scream to a massive group, and we were able to keep everybody plugged in. So that group went through that training, and then just a couple days later, we were able to exercise a little bit. So you see on the left side of the screen, it's kind of our classroom session. Trying to keep everybody awake. It's hard when you have gentlemen that are working on the road every day to bring them to the classroom. So we really try to break it up, make it a conversation, keep everybody kind of entertained by mistakes, myself I've made, the superintendents I've made, the foreman talk about experiences and mistakes we made to try to comfort them a little bit that you're going to have mistakes, you're going to learn, and if you're not learning, you're probably either not trying or you're, a little bit overconfident. So try to kind of talk about that, keeping our ego in check and really just trying to learn every day and kind of perfect our methods. So, and then on the right side is another one of the shots from out in the garage where you can see we had two trucks together and we're kind of comparing left side wings to right side wings and how they work on the trucks. And that's why you see two trucks kind of on the sides of the screen. So that was good. That was kind of a great thing for us to do. Appreciate everybody's support. Hey, Tiffany came out and took some pictures for us. So yeah, we really get an opportunity to kind of work with a group. Back to snow and ice in general. We did spend about 22 hours or so worth of time on snow and ice last weekend. So the holiday weekend. Used a little less than 2,000 tons of salt and somewhere around 500 gallons or less of mineral well brine to try to help get us through some of those snow squalls. They were very much bouncing around. Some points we had a lot of roads covered. Other points we were dry pavement, wet pavement, snow covered pavement, all throughout the county. So group did great. Ken Harris was bouncing around like a bouncy ball trying to find the snow. We were kind of sending him in all directions. So he did great for us. And then the group, really performed great. Equipment held up. So, and I think that's a lot to do with our dry run we talk about and our shop helping us out. And so we made it work. We made our way through it. So we're in winter now. It's pretty much that time. So a lot of our work is slowed down. We've done some drainage work, as you can see, which were the nice thank yous. Trying to get things checked off the list that had been on the list for a while for some of the small drainage improvements that we were getting thank yous for, which we didn't ask for. We're very appreciative of that, but the group's kind of just doing what they do, which is nice to see. So it'd be nice to get that back to them and kind of give them those, good compliments. So shifting gears a little bit to capital improvements. We talked a lot this year about roof replacements here on the admin building. So the administration building, the roof replacement's been completed. So you probably saw some of that through your last few weeks coming in and out of here, some of the stuff we had going on. You may still hear a little bit of noise and commotion up there because we're in the process of a refurbishment of the HVAC system that we've talked about. So that's ongoing. That obviously heats and cools the building. Our contractor was very good to us and kind of guided us through the process where we're able to do this about 10, 12, 15 months and probably tens of thousands of dollars cheaper by refurbishing the unit we have. So they brought new parts in, they're putting those in. We don't have level of service issues where we basically can't be in the building. So they've kind of manipulated that to fit in our schedule and helped us save, like I say, many months trying to get that done. So it's been good. So you'll hear a little bit of noise there with that still going. In the next week or so, they'll probably finish that up as long as everything goes as planned. It's a little windy today, so I don't think we're doing much up there now, but so yeah, that's kind of our capital improvement, kind of wrap that up.
I think they're also wrapped up the Southeast Service Center salt barn roof.
Yeah, the material storage barn. We were actually able to finish that. That was an MDOT partnership project where they partnered with us for about $61,000 and some change to help us get a metal roof and some siding on that building. Our goal is to kind of shift to metal roofs as much as we can. That'll really help us in the long run. That's what we built on the new material storage building. Just sheds that water a little bit better. So we don't get kind of the softness or the pitting that you get sometimes just with a normal asphalt shingle roof. So yeah, that's been a great thing we've wrapped up here in the last 2 weeks. I think the last bit of their machinery and parts left last week or maybe even beginning of this week. So we're back to full service to do salt. We're getting good at that. So, but without any other questions, that's all I had for operations.
I don't see any questions. Thank you.
Yeah.
Adam. Anything else, Matt?
That
No?
concludes our report.
I will just offer a few reminders. The County Road Association's 2025 legislative priorities are being requested. If people could please forward their thoughts or talk with Matt about any ideas or suggestions you have for inclusion in those. You would have received the draft ones as part of, I forget when those came through. It's been a month or so that came through. If you could please get those to Matt on or before Wednesday, December 11th, because that Friday is when CRA requires them. Our final board meeting of the 2024 year will be on Tuesday. We're back to a Tuesday, December 17th at 1 o'clock. No working session scheduled that day. And then our final chat sessions, there are two yet this year. December 11th, Commissioner Smers, December 18th, myself, and December 25th, we've made an executive decision that there won't be a chat session on Christmas Day. So if you were assigned to that, you can have a hot chocolate and a cookie. If there's nothing else to come before the board, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Tiffany, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. See you on December 17th, Tuesday.